Well, welcome to episode 8, I think. This episode is going to be somewhat emotionally charged. This will probably be one of my more raw episodes, and if you can hear someone talking in the background, remember this is the low quality podcast that is me. Okay, I'm like this is just me doing it. My wife's in her office, which is right behind me, doing a Zoom call right now. So hopefully that we don't overhear their conversation. But anyway, I want to talk today about letting go, and this is emotionally charged for me because there's a lot of passion here. So many things, so many episodes that I reference my Instagram, and most of my listeners, at least now at this stage of this podcast, are from my Instagram. That's how you know me. And today, I did a couple posts just about letting go of some stuff, and it created a lot of drama with one person for sure. Um, that's about it. Actually, one person, and a couple other people had a few little minor comments, but nothing that I would consider getting carried away. One person turned into a big thing, and anyways, it just caused me to think about a lot of things. From some of the other little comments where people, maybe disagree and maybe like things that I interpret as victimhood, which I'm not very good at dealing with victims or what I interpret as victimhood. People that want to feel sorry for them and that justify their circumstances. Like someone put a comment on one of my videos about where I talked about really just kind of letting go and not refocusing on the things that's happened 2 years ago. And they said some comment about easy for me to say or something about how they can't have a livelihood. And I'm like, sounds like something a victim would say. Like at the end of the day, I remember I did a post back when I was still in the Dominican, probably around February. I did a post about something, and there's that huge talk about rights versus privilege that got talked about around people being able to fly and not be able to fly due to vaccine mandates and rights versus privilege. And I can have that conversation all day, but when people attacked me, I asked them to define the difference. I asked them to define a privilege and define a right, because I said when you find out very quickly that the things that you define as privileges quickly violate some of the things that you think are rights, I'm wondering if your opinion is going to change. And someone told me once that it's your right to have a good job, a good paying job to support your family. And it's funny because that's not your right. And this isn't my opinion. This is a factual thing. This is what our country was founded on. This is what the United States was founded on. It is not your right to have a job provided to you so that you can make an income and provide for your family. That is a privilege. And that's what I told this person that was arguing with me. I'm like, you just defined what privilege is. You think that's a right. It is our right, however, to not be impeded as a Canadian or American to go out and create for ourselves opportunity to provide for our family. It is not somebody's responsibility to go and build a company to then employ you so that you can then make an income to provide for your family. It is not the government's job to provide you with a job within the government programs that our tax dollars pay for, so that it's not their job to create that so that you can have a good paying job to take care of your family, provide for them. That is not a right. That is a luxury of the country we live in. It is your right to not be impeded, like I said, to go out and create for yourself. To go out, our country, Canada, the United States, founded on free enterprise. I know they don't teach that in the traditional education system, and that's a whole other subject. But our countries were founded on free enterprise, which is our right to have that opportunity to go and create something as equal to the next person. Whether it doesn't matter your race, your creed, your religion, those things don't matter. You have the right to pursue those things, the pursuit of happiness, as you know, from the United States. You have that right. But a job is a privilege. And that's the thing. What I'm getting at here is that people don't understand the difference between rights and privileges. And this person that says, well, you know, I don't have the ability, like it's taken I can't remember what word she used. I think I used it earlier on this recording, but livelihood or something like that. But so what? So like you got fired from your job because of a mandate. So instead you just roll over and die. No, and I'm sure there's other supporting things for most people that can sit there and list off all the things as to why they can't go and provide for themselves. You know that people collect bottles and make hundreds of dollars a day. It's funny. I was just talking about this yesterday with a friend of ours who was at our house. I mean, that's at least in Alberta. I don't Ontario. I know they don't do that, but in Alberta and in other parts of the country, you pay a deposit on cans and bottles when you buy them, 10 cents, 25 cents, and then when you take them to the bottle depot, you get that money back. And so there are people that, because a lot of people will just throw out bottles and cans, and they will go and they'll collect these things at the dumpsters, other things. But I know you're too above it. You're not hungry enough to have to jump into a dumpster or put your hand in a garbage can at a gas station for you to pull out $1 worth of cans. You're not hungry enough, or you're too pristine and prestigious for people to say, what if somebody saw me doing that? Well, then they saw you doing that. Like, is it more important that you provide for your family than what people think about you? Or is it more important what people think about you than you provide for your family? Pick a side. So you can go and you make hundreds of dollars a day collecting these bottles, taking them to the bottle depot and returning them. So, I mean, it's not rocket science. There's ways to make money if you're not, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're disabled. There are people in wheelchairs that do that go and collect bottles. They don't look for handouts. You're every time you make an excuse as to why your situation is so shitty and you can't do it, it literally it steals from other people's hustle that they're going out and creating it, that are in a worse position than you, because you want to be a victim. So I don't even know how I got down this path in this episode, because this episode is supposed to be about letting go. But what I was talking about is on my Instagram, I talked about people who are still focused on the things we were talking about in April and May of 2020, right up to about, I guess we'll call it Ottawa. Ottawa's like an event now. So spring of 2020, or January, February of 2022. That was kind of like the crux. That was the reset button. It's like, okay, we left it all out there. Not, and I say we, I shouldn't say I wasn't there, but because I was out of the country, but I did my best to spread that information as much as I could. And a lot of my followers came from that on Instagram. And I was trying to bring attention to it as much as I could and put perspective on it, and sharing knowledge that I had. So I feel I contributed in a part, whether some of you will agree or disagree. But that was kind of like Canadians putting it all out there. And there are true warriors, and I'm not going to start naming names on here and miss people. There are true warriors that were incredible, that will forever have a place in my heart, and I will bend over backwards to help those people, and they may not even know it because of the things they did during that time. But that was like, we understood it. We left it all out on the field there. The government showed us where they would give and where they wouldn't, which there wasn't a lot of give at all, right? We saw that. So after that, people should wake up. People should realize. People should let go of the things we talked about for almost 2 years. Call it a year and a half. Not a lot of people spoke out in the early steps. People really started speaking out in the fall of 2020, going into 2021. So we'll call it like a year and 4 months. Call it 16 months for argument's sake. So in that 16-month window, there was a time to talk about everything. A lot of things progressing, changing. There was a time to talk about COVID. There was a time to talk about vaccines. There's a time to talk about how the vaccines didn't work and people are still catching COVID. There was a time to debate all those things and argue those things and bring that to the attention and everything else. Yeah, and I did it. Absolutely. And I had someone that essentially try to call me out in a comment I made about, because everybody today, the talk of the town this morning on Instagram that I saw from a lot of the people I followed was Justin Trudeau tested positive for COVID-19 for a third time. And he's like triple or quadruple vax. I don't know. And honestly, I don't care. And it kind of struck something with me. I was like, how are these people that I consider pretty strong thinkers, pretty forward thinkers, critical thinkers, people that are, doing things, making moves, that have been a lot of them have been fundamentally important in this cause to bring attention, to bring awareness. How are these people still talking about this? How are these people still giving this legs and bringing attention to it? And so I kind of made a little reel, short 15, 16-second reel, just saying, I know, like, some of you, I don't know who needs to hear this. Some of you I know do need to hear this. Some of you I don't know, but like, quit talking about Justin Trudeau and the virus. And that's pretty much it. That's all I said. And like I said, it kind of spiraled into a few things. And I had kind of commented on a couple people that I mentioned that had posted information about this and said, hey, like, like, yeah, but why are we still talking about this? So the whole moving on thing has come into my head, and the fact that people need to learn to let go and move on with things in life. And what I mean by that is, I'm not just talking about this. I'm talking about all things in life. Because let me tell you something, and I'll make a comparison and I'll come back to this. For those of you who maybe disagree with the fact that I say we shouldn't be talking about this stuff anymore, and you're like, that's exactly how they get us, is we ignore it and we let it become the norm. That's not what I'm saying. Are there issues that need to be talked about in Canada and the United States and the world, for that matter, about what's going on, how governments are handling things? Absolutely. These are things that we can't let go. We have to constantly bring it to the forefront. But discussing stupid things like people catching COVID and making fun of it, or whatever justification you want for bringing this to attention, the fact that things like Rebel News want to talk about that, that's great. That's their right as whatever they call themselves. I don't know if they're independent journal. I don't know what they are. They're not one of the big media companies. If they want to do it, that's great. But I also said in a live following up that post, because it created a lot of drama, you got to remember that we, and when I say we, I mean all the people that were against a lot of this stuff from the get-go, many of us despised the tactics, the methods, the conducts, the behaviors of mainstream media in the beginning, and even to this day, about the way they manipulate, the way they present news. And then so many of these truthers or freedom fighters, whatever you want to call them, public figures, all these people, so many of you do the same thing. So many of you do these cheesy, clickbaity, suck you in videos of this, in my opinion, of this stupid stuff, of this stuff that doesn't matter, like, that has no relevance in our life. And again, like, certain things like the liberal gun bans, all those things, those are relevant. Those are active things. My wife made a good point in what I was talking about, when, if I had kind of, like, as some people may have interpreted my comments this morning, if I had been dismissive, that's how they interpreted it when I said, you guys, we got to stop talking about this, move on to bigger things. If I had been dismissive like that, a year ago, that would have been bad timing. That would have been poor timing. But now we're so far past that. The only people still holding on to COVID and pretty much in the world is Canada, is our liberal government. They're the only ones still playing the COVID theater. And so when you take it and you reshare it and you talk about it and you waste time with it and you make fun of whatever you're doing with it, you're perpetuating the COVID theater. That's what these people want. They want you to give it the attention that you're giving it. And so that's all I was trying to say. And people need to really realize, again, like I said, there are serious issues we need to continue to deal with and fix in our country, in the United States, and in the world. But people need to learn how to let go of things. Because there's an example. Talking about Justin Trudeau and his positive COVID test is the same as you breaking up with a boyfriend or girlfriend. We'll use a boyfriend as example. It's like a woman breaking up with a boyfriend 2 years ago. And if there were long-term issues that were created from that relationship that you had to continue to work on, like financial destruction, physical abuse, something like that, I get it. That stuff's relevant. That stuff still needs to be worked on, talked about, as long as you're not victimizing it, right? You're not turning it into something. You're not just you're actually working on it productively. But it would be the same talking about Justin Trudeau today as the same as you talking about your boy, following him on social media and be like, can you believe it? And you're posting on your Facebook or your Instagram, can you believe it? He got engaged to a second girl since we broke up. This one's not going to last either. Okay. Like, who cares? Why are you so hung up on this person? Why are you so hung up on this dude? Why are you still talking about the little insignificant details of his life? If you despise this person so much, if you have no time for this person, why are you letting them live in your head rent free? Why are you giving the little things attention? Now, if he comes back into your life and like smashes your window, okay, something to talk about. If Justin Trudeau comes back into our life and implements new restrictions on our life, i.e., a gun ban, something like that, those things are worth talking about. His consistent reluctancy to not lift restrictions on airplanes, and those things are even worth talking about. Maybe not to the degree that some people do, unless you're creating like solutions for people, not just bringing the problem to everyone's attention. That's worth addressing. But addressing the fact that he got sick allegedly again, it doesn't make sense. Sorry, I had to pause the recording and had to address something. I told you, this is not the most professional podcast you're ever going to listen to. Sorry about that. I even forgot the point I was just making there. But yeah, I think getting hung up on his sickness and his health status does nothing for you. And let me tell you what I believe the dangers are. Sure, there's an amount of people out there, probably a smaller amount than you think, that are capable of laughing at this nonsense. And most of you are the strong-minded people that spoke out. You're capable of understanding like that this theater is so beyond laughable, and you get the humor out of it. But the vast majority of people have been under attack mentally for many, 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 many years, but very, very strongly for the last, almost 2.5 years now. They've been under mental attack. They've been beaten down in every way possible. And the more we give this shit attention, the longer we drag out the silliness of this, the greater damage this has. This is the shit that causes people to kill themselves. This is the shit that causes suicide to go up. Is this reminder in their brains that this is never going to end. And you are contributing to it. By you reposting this stuff, you're only self-serving. You're like, you think it's funny, but especially if you have a large following, let's say you have 50,000 followers. Maybe 10% of those followers are strong enough to handle it. But the rest of them, those people lay awake at night losing hope every single day. Do you not realize that? The vast majority of the people in this world are on the fucking edge. And so many of you want to laugh about it and joke about it and put that shit in the limelight. And then when someone like me says, hey, we should really stop talking about this, you get your panties so in a bunch because I made a good fucking point. Because there are people that like had commented back on things. They commented like, yeah, man, he's like, I agree, but I still blah, 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 blah. And they laughed about it. I'm like, yeah. And I laughed back. I'm like, cool. But some of you got so worked up about it. And the only reason you get worked up about something when someone makes a point that is not directed at you, especially, is because you're rooted in it. You're attached to it, but you're not rooted in it. Like you don't understand what you stand for, because you can't shake my tree on stuff because I'm very rooted in it. I don't get emotional in a sense and get worked up about stuff because I'm rooted in it, because I trust myself, I believe it, I know what I stand for. People that get worked up about stuff all the time like that, it's because they're not rooted. They're flip-floppers, and so I don't trust people like that. And so those people need to understand, because that was the justification I got, not just from one person, but from actually 3 people. The justification I had seen, again, one person dragged this out all fucking day. I just can't even believe it, how long it got dragged out. I was doing stuff for 6 hours, didn't even go on my Instagram. And I come back on and they're still going. It was amazing. But then like 2 people sent one individual message or a reply on a comment, and they were hung up on the sense that like, yeah, man, but we like to have fun with this. I'm like, yeah, I get that. But my point is, if you create a big following, if you publicly spoke out, and it's funny, one guy tried to shit on me for this until I tried to like explain that I have some sort of responsibility, because he can see my responsibility but can't see his. He can't see the perspective that me saying, hey, like, we should like explain to me the negative. Explain to me the negative side of me saying, hey, we should move past this onto bigger things and focus on things. There's literally no negative. There's no negative to moving past something bad that's happened in your life. Holding on to things forever is not a good thing. But trying to validate and say why we should still talk about this stuff from the past and how it's still relevant, there's only a positive for the people that want to laugh about it, get humor, but the vast majority of people's lives are destroyed by this. And it's a reminder every single fucking day that their lives are destroyed by it. And it's one more step closer. I bet you they have statistics on this shit. They know how many suicides happen every time they make a post like Justin Trudeau got COVID for the 3rd time. Because let me tell you why this is so important. When the supposed leader of the country of Canada tests positive for COVID the 3rd time while having 3 or 4, I don't know how many the guy has. I don't care how many shots he has. People that are so afraid that life is never going back to normal. People that are heartbroken right now. They're never going to see their families because they can't fly, and their families live on a country in a country in Europe or in Africa or somewhere where they have to get on a plane. Some people that are so broken up about that are just like holding out hope that soon enough they'll lift this stuff and we'll go back to normal. When the supposed leader of our country makes it known that he can still get it, you know what that does to a lot of these people? It takes any sort of hope they had left. Because they're like, if this guy's still getting it, he's never going to lift these mandates. I'm never going to get my job back. I'm never going to see my family, even if they're local. I'm never going to get on a plane to go see this. And guess what? Boom, 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 boom. They start taking their lives. At the very worst. They also start doing other things. Alcohol, drugs, which then they impact their children, which then like all these things, the impact, you guys understand, you get it. You're screaming from the hilltops that they're trying to destroy society. They start with the family unit. They start with this, but you're too dumb to see that they manipulate you as an influencer. They got you doing their dirty work, spreading this nonsense. You're too dumb to realize that. You can't see the fact that every time you post this shit, you do their dirty work for them. Someone kills themselves. Someone does more drugs, drinks more alcohol. And those numbers are probably in the thousands. Like I said, they probably have statistics on the fact that every time they release a story like this, they know they have the suicide count across the country and they're wiping out people. And you're doing it for them. But it's funny. We're just making fun of it, man. Like, we're just like, people are like, don't make a, like, man, you're creating division. Like, oh man, like, no, this is what people were messaging me saying, man, what's this guy about? How come he's saying this now? This isn't the guy I used to follow. Oh my God. Like, shut the fuck up. People are killing themselves. People are falling further into alcohol and drug addiction. It is creating domestic problems on a whole nother level. And you want to repost the bullshit drama because it's funny? You guys need to let it go. All of you guys need to start inspiring people, telling them that it's going to get better because it is. I'm not saying give them false hope, but you need to start bringing awareness to people, not talking about bullshit. Start giving people hope. Let go of things. That's all, like most of you probably have no idea how to forgive. And I'm not saying we're forgiving Justin Trudeau or anyone for what's going on at this point. But most of you who can't let go probably have no idea how to forgive. You probably say you do, and you probably have been up, I forgive you, but really you hold that shit against them. Because I'll tell you what, if you're a person of faith, when if you do something and you ask for forgiveness from God, he forgets it ever happened. Are you capable of doing that as a human? 8 out of 10 times? 9 out of 10 times? Probably not if you don't understand how to let things go, how to move past them. So my whole point of this episode is we need to start those people, if any of you are even listening to this. But I would encourage you to bring this to the attention of those that have influence, those that have impact. It's no longer about your fame. For some of you, that's what it's always been about. For a good amount of us, it's never been about that. Most of the real ones I know fucking hate this. I hate this. I do not like being in the limelight. I do not like bringing attention to me. Why do you think I'm such a private person? It's not my thing. A lot of you want the attention. You want the fame. You want the followers. Then you want to use those followers to God knows what. I don't care. Maybe some of you want to monetize it. I don't know. But it's time, if you've been about that, to get past that. And if you even have a little bit of heart in you, realize the amount of destruction that's being caused by them continually doing this shit and you doing their legwork, you running around talking about it, posting it. Can we please just try something that we haven't tried yet, which is for the rest of this year, for 20, and this is never going to happen because most of you just fucking have no self-control. And if you're not posting dramatic negative shit, you got nothing to talk about. So I'd love to see this. I don't think it ever will happen. But for the rest of this year, can we just talk about how to move forward? How to create a plan? How to help other people? How to unify and create like a legitimate community? And I've been creating community. Oh, this whole time I've been doing this, but I still like to post this stuff. Cool. Sweet, bro. I hate that word, bro, by the way. That's why whenever I use it as a joking way. That's sweet. That's awesome that you've been doing all that. And I'm so happy for you. That's great. But can you just focus on that? Can we leave the negative shit away? Can we put all that stuff away? Can we stop giving this mainstream media legs? Can we stop giving CBC headlines legs on our platforms? Can we stop giving the National Post headlines on our giving them legs on our story? Can we stop giving Justin Trudeau legs on our story? Can we stop giving the toxic clickbait ads that come out from these media outlets that claim to be on our side? Can we stop giving these things legs on our platforms? And can we actually start using our platforms for good? Funny, someone told me that, like my message today almost shocked people. They're like, oh, this is not the same guy. Well, have they been paying attention? Have they been watching me since Ottawa occurred? And I've always kind of talked about those things. I've done both. I brought news and attention to people, gave my perspective. And I also, for the whole time I've been doing this, I've been telling people to take control of their life. I have been from the get-go. Go back and watch my videos from early 2020. You'll see it. That's what I've been doing. Have been the whole time. But I would also do the other things. But I stopped doing the other things. I stopped talking about this. That's why I even did a reel earlier this week. And I said, I don't usually talk about this stuff anymore, but I want to address this. And it was about, COVID stuff. So for the last, 4 or 5 months, I've really focused mainly on trying to equip people to be mentally stronger, to take control of their own life, take back their freedoms, abide by different rules, homeschool. That's all I've been focusing on. Unifying people, not talking about nonsense. So the fact that I might have shocked some of my followers today with my message, allegedly, that's what one person told me, that they had tons and tons of messages from my followers that were just so blown away. Well, then I don't think they've been paying attention to me for the last 4 months. If my message today shocked them, if this episode shocks anyone today, I don't think you've been paying attention. I really don't. Because we need to move past it. We need to let go. Remember, let go of your ex-boyfriend, your ex-girlfriend, your ex-anything. Let go of your ex. These people that are vindictive, that hold on to things, like you will destroy yourself and everyone around you. People will have their time of reckoning, whether it be in our hands or God's. They will have their time of reckoning, hopefully in our hands. But for those of you who aren't watching this, I smiled big when I said that. Because anyways, they will get their time. But as of right now, let's let the little shit go. Please. Please. And those of you who actually listen to this, you know who you are. I'm not going to name names. And it's not just the person that I had a long conversation with today back and forth about this stuff. It's not just him. There's many of you that I've had private conversations with for months. And at the end of the day, you don't have to listen to me. You can be like, who the fuck does this guy think he is trying to tell us how to fucking live our life? Oh, fucking cool. Yeah, I mean, do whatever you want. It's your right. It's your freedom. But understand I'm not wrong. Understand how much hurt you're doing to people. How much hope you're taking from people. And you can tell yourself, oh, I give people hope all the time. Like, I talk to them. They message me. I reply to all their comments. Cool. And that helps them in that moment. But you're not always talking to them. You're not always on the line with them. You're not on the phone with them all the time. You're not in their DMs all the time. You're not in the comments, replying, liking, building up their hit of dopamine, that feeling of warm and fuzzy when they're in around those people. You're only there for a brief period of time, maybe weekly, briefly in a week, not even daily. And the rest of that week, the rest of that 167 hours and 53 minutes, those people are on the brink of destruction. So you tell yourself, you go ahead, pat yourself on the back. You go ahead, tell yourself you give people hope. You go ahead, you do that. And you keep posting that shit. And understand it's not about those 5 minutes or 7 minutes you take to encourage someone, uplift them, and support them. It's what you do daily that will speak volumes in their life. It's that. It's what example are you setting? What hope are you giving these people? And you're like, I never asked for this responsibility. You got it when you spoke out. You took that responsibility when you spoke out. The minute you started being public and standing up against this, you asked for the responsibility. So you don't get to hide from it. It's your responsibility. It's my responsibility. It's my responsibility to always do my best to steer people right. And it ain't about putting up bullshit anymore. So keep singing your song. Keep telling yourself you're doing the good work. But maybe take time to understand people and see the bigger picture. Because you're so caught up in Instagram thinking it's real world. And you need to understand, even the most addicted person to Instagram only spends 8 or 9 hours a day on it. And that would be astronomically addicted. But most users are on there for an hour or two, and that's even high. And so for the other 23 or 22 hours, or the person that's on there 8 or 9 hours, for the other 15 or 16 hours of that person's life, they're dying inside. So can we just fucking let it go and work on doing greater things and inspiring people instead of focusing on the bullshit? Whether you know it or not, you're doing it for the attention. You're doing it for the likes. You're doing it for the following because you know those people will eat that shit. Because I'll tell you what, you want to know my biggest post I got, the most reaction I got out of a post in the last 2 weeks? It was when I posted that picture of the chicken plant fire in the US. I was one of the first people to post it. I started seeing it spreading around a couple of days later. And I'm not saying because I'm the smartest guy, it's just I happened to get the news early. And so I posted it, and that thing go check my Instagram feed. Check out the likes. I don't even know how many there. There was over 2,000 last time I checked on that one little picture. And then I'll do something or I'll post something that's like legitimately like inspiring. We're not saying I'm saying something inspiring, something maybe even someone else did, something simple, something quick, and it gets attention, but it gets attention from the same people. You know who it gets attention from? The people that are doing things in their life, the people that are fixing things, the messages I get from people that tell me about all the great things they've done in their life. I don't get the attention from the people that's lives suck, that always have excuses, that are victims, that always have a story to tell. I don't get the attention on those posts, but I do get the attention from those people on the dramatic ones and the ones that are negative. So tell me if I'm wrong. Why is that? Why is it that the negative stuff and the dramatic stuff, everything filled with, drama around the world, attracts all the attention? But all the stuff with the valuable information only attracts the people that are really doing the work. So you can tell me I'm wrong all you want. But the stats do not lie. The information is there to be had. Just try it. If you're a person that posts a bunch of drama stuff all the time, nonstop, go for a month. Stop posting that stuff. Your first few posts, you'll get lots of likes. It's normal. People like as they go by. Start posting stuff like I'm talking about. You know what's going to happen? Your likes, your comments, your shares will all drop significantly. And those people that love the negative drama stuff, they will try to run off and scurry off and find someone else to feed their addiction for that negative shit. They'll go looking for that other person to feed the addiction. But if we all stopped doing it, there'd be no one there, and they'd have to grow. They'd have to change. Or they'd have to wallow in their own self-pity. But that's up to them. Prove me wrong. Try it. Most of you won't, because you can't handle the idea of not getting as many likes, as many follows, as many shares, as many comments as you do. Because you value yourself based on that. You that's what represents who you are. I got this many likes. I got this many followers. Cool, bro. You do you. But don't give me the real one. Don't give me and the other real ones. The real deals, don't give us shit. Don't shit on us. Because we know what we are. And we know what you are. So why don't we all collectively work on maybe just moving on? Can we do that? Anyways, I'll wrap it up there. Appreciate you guys. That was not as intense as my normal episode, but like I said, it was a little more raw because this is emotional for me. I truly feel the responsibility and I care about it. And the minute I spoke out, the minute I kept speaking out, and as I developed the following, I had a responsibility. And I knew that. And so to me, I'll always say what's right. And those of you that know, right? And I've said it before, I'm not for sale. I don't care if I have one follower or a million. This is me. And if I feel I'm no longer relevant, I don't add value to people, poof, I'm gone. Because I need this like I need another hole in the head. I do not like spending time away from my daughter who's upstairs right now. I could be playing with or coloring with in these new coloring books I just got her today. But I feel her future is important, and I feel what I do here has impact on her future. So I'll keep doing this because I think it's time well spent. But as soon as I think it's not, trust me, I'd rather be with her. I don't need the fucking attention. I don't need the headache. I'm not doing this for money, so I don't need it. I do it because I feel I have a responsibility, an obligation, and so I'll continue to do it. So anyway, I appreciate you guys. If you like the show, share it, subscribe to it, share this with a friend, share this with an influencer who thinks I'm a fucking idiot. Yeah, and you want to reach out to me, you can reach me on my Instagram at Brasmy, at BRASMY. See you guys.